Okay, there we go. We're here again, Dustin here. Again, greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and podders. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty again with another edition of this week's vlog. It's been 2 weeks since we've been away. We took a little time for self-care last week. We had a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces, some challenging pieces, but we muddled through them. We came out ahead. And even as we know that today is not tomorrow, we are still here, we are still going, and we are still moving forward. And before I go on, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Dustin. I'm autistic. I'm 40 years old. I've been doing this autism thing for over 25 years, and I've been living on my own for about seven. Um, Seven of those, most of those seven, were when I was not in my best state. And now we are getting into what is my best state and learning how to make the best of each weekend. And it's taken a long way for me to understand where I am. And if you've been following in the last two or three vlogs, we are in where we are. We're finally into the part, we're fighting through it. And if you've been following, it's part of the bigger series, The Perfect Storm, which has been a 2 year series and has been on and off from my manic relapse about 2 years ago. But 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were understanding how and why medication is important to managing mental health and even alongside autism now as we see. Today I even got to be able to see more. But ultimately, what it takes through it all is fighting through those moments of temptation, those moments of wanting to give into the old habits and working at creating new habits that make me the better self, the better person, the best that I can be. And it doesn't necessarily surround itself with medication. Um, Medication for me is a tool that gives me the quality of life that I need to get through the challenges that are harder for me than are for others. Yes, there are medications to help with, not specifically to cure autism or to make it go away, but it's to make the life very much easier. And through all of this and through the past few weeks and of learning and going about myself, I'm seeing that the medication is helping me instead of hurting me. And for the last 7 years, I didn't see it that way. I had flawed thoughts about it. I didn't believe things, and I was unwilling to accept some reality about it. And now I'm at the point in my life where I see more that it's more beneficial than it is to hurt me. But it takes fighting through those initial days of when you want to give up or want to not so much give up completely, but more so just giving up at taking the medicine because you don't see its effect right away. And I've known this cocktail of treatments to be working for about 25 years. So if it's working, why would I not take it? And 7 years ago, I made that destructive decision, and I made multiple after that to not take my medicine, and I paid the price for that. And now I'm at the point where I'm getting better at understanding that I need my medicine, and it's a crucial tool in my mental health recovery. It is something that I need to have every day, no matter what day it is, whether it's Friday evening or Monday morning. We need our medication to understand the quality of life. And not only need the medication, even though as we see it being a crucial tool in our mental health recovery, but we see the things we need to do in order to make the things not make it weak and not make it as challenging, like reducing caffeine and reducing sugar, and making sure that our sleeping environment is best for ourselves, even though it may not seem that way. And for me, it took the longest time and overtime and through getting back on track the past year and really into this calendar year to see that things that have been told to me all along by my family And it was hard for me for a long time to accept that my family really did have my best interest at heart, even though I didn't believe it. And eventually, if you don't listen, everybody has a different relationship with their family. And I'm very blessed to have two wonderful parents and a loving family that cares for me very much. And along with those who I work with and those who just I cross on the path of life that know when I'm not myself, that I'm not myself, and that I need to be asked the questions just for the frank question, are you okay? Are you taking your medicine? And sometimes it takes having those said questions repeated over and over and over again to finally get the hint, hey, you can't be living this lie. You can't be hiding the fact while you're doing. Maybe things aren't good that day, but maybe you see through the end that it's best just to do what you need to do. And this past week has been one of those weeks. It's kind of like a weird week because I only worked today, but I took Monday for a little MH day, and I was kind of like, but then Tuesday morning I was getting ready to head out the door, and it was kind of, I was having some pain, and I realized that I had a kid. Through going to the doctor, I discovered that I had a kidney infection, and that it was from too much soda drinking and probably too much caffeine at one point or another. But I had to realize I had to get my health under control, and that meant all dimensions of health, including mental, physical, financial, spiritual, all of that. The signs were coming very, very clearly over the weekend and into the early part of this week to see that, things need to get reeled in here, and they need to get in here, reeled in here real soon, or they're going to turn really, really bad. And it took that long for me to understand that and see that the signs were there. And I had to do what I had to do to make things right on my own. And it can be hard to want to accept the realities of what you have to accept. But I've seen other people in the past week or in the past year accept realities that were harder than mine. And I think, it's no shame to take medication for mental health, nor is it that you have to eat certain foods or drink certain foods. It's definitely, better than what some of the other challenges that's people I know have to experience and cannot and have a challenging battle that they're fighting because, oftentimes it's said that we don't know what battle somebody's fighting. And I think the longest time I was fighting a battle that no one could really see because I tried to hide it. But deep down, those that loved me, like family and people who cared for me, knew something wasn't right in the end. And I was only hurting myself to the point it was pointless and destructive and hurtful. And it turned out to be a very bad thing. And finally, I got the hint that I just need to do what's right because other people see it more sooner than what I think. And even if they don't say it, they know it, and they want the best for me just as much as I feel I need the best for me. Um, Another thing was, when I was recovering and I had all this sleep time, I had slept in excess. So every time I would go off my track, it'd be so hard to get back on, and it'd be so frustrating, and it'd be so hard to get back on and stay back on. But you have to win the battle sometimes, and it's hard. And when you are getting back on a medication or you're starting a medication, and you're fighting that battle to get that perfect cocktail or that perfect balance. It can be challenging and it can be hard. And you have to fight through it. And that's just the reality of it. If I know it works for me, I just have to be patient and fight through it. Even though there's times I get frustrated, I don't want to fight through it. And there's times when things get a little overwhelming. But it's when you see that your mood, you have to always know what your mood is and how you're feeling. You have to be that self-aware person and always see how you're feeling and how you're going to react to things and how things are going to be, how you can manage things the best you can. And I think in reality, I had to learn that I had to be the one who was the only, I couldn't control everything around me and I couldn't live the life that I was living, so I had to focus on what I could control. And things that I could control was the way I reacted to things. I couldn't manage that if I wasn't taking care of myself. And I couldn't be able to navigate the world outside of me if I wasn't taking care of myself. And it's hard. It's hard to have to do things that don't seem fair or don't seem the way that everybody else does. Or there may be peer pressure, or there may be a way around, feeling horrible about having to say, oh, I have to take this medicine and feel this way, and it's going to take time. But you have to be patient in that process and can continue to fight through it. And it will get better. It does get better. I've been in 3 or so weeks in of being more steadily at the bat, being more dedicated to knowing that I have to fight my way through things. It takes, that I know not doing it is pointless and destructive, and people know right away when I don't take care of myself. So seeing the medication is something not to be ashamed of, something that other people do and get the right balance of. And then when there is that perfect cocktail, when there is that perfect balance, it's just like any other tool in your toolbox for your mental health recovery. It makes it work, and for the longest time I had battled with one particular medication and thinking, oh, I don't need it, da 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 da. It's not doing nothing. But now that I look back and I see it more and more, I see the things that I was doing and I was hiding a lot, but then people were also seeing a lot and it does help. Yeah, some of the side effects suck. It's just how it is. But it's about you managing how to counteract those things and work with those things and like fight the side effects. And sometimes it just by doing what you need to do to counteract those and work at making things like weight gain not a thing, or at least less of a thing. You feel better because you're doing something, you're taking initiative. And I think that's the battle that I was fighting at least the last 7 years, but throughout my life, is that I was taking these pills and, they were fine for most of my life. And the last 7 years they've been a battle. But I think honestly, if I hadn't really been honest about my menu keeping and my diary sheets and stuff like that, it wouldn't have actually, if I wouldn't have put the tools that I had into place, like the menu keeping, counting calories, those sort of things, then it wouldn't have worked the way it did and made things as good as it did. And I wouldn't have seen the weight come off, and I wouldn't have seen it. It was worth the investment to do the things that I knew all along were best for me because they were helping me combat the issue that was real. And in 7 years, I never really was honest about that, nor was I. And it was, maybe seeing things done and having to earn points for something and on a challenge or a contest and seeing, that it's important to keep a menu so you know what you ate and how many things you ate and all those great things that, is hard. And, when you're battling mental health, physical health, and trying to keep that all in a conundrum rhythm, it's kind of hard, but you have to do it even though you don't want to. And yeah, there's hunger. It comes around, but I work at it. And I do things to keep busy and out of the kitchen and out of trouble and out of wanting to find ways to get back to the old ways of drinking lots of soda. I have to do new tricks and get to avoid, getting into them old traps that I was in And it's change. And if you want to make a lifestyle change, you will want it. It's no different in mental health as it is in physical health, financial health, spiritual health. You have to want to change and you have to want to make it. So I think, it's me fighting through all those battles and doing what is right for me because I know I want it deep down inside. I know I want to fight that battle. I know I want to get through it. And as hard as it can be sometimes, I know I have to do it because it's what people would want me to do. And I think of all the times my family would say to me, "Well, you don't need to drink that soda, and it's too much soda, and that's your problem." And then they would say about the medicine, but and honestly, they were right because they know that it wasn't good for me, and it took until I had a kidney infection to realize that it was bad for me and having too much of it was a problem and that I had to reel myself in before it was too late. I didn't want to keep going up and up and up and up and up on the weight chart. And I was getting to that point about a month ago, and I knew I had to reel myself in big time, or I was going to be in more of a problem. And I didn't want to go from last year at when I renewed my weight loss club support group membership at being a high weight to going higher again. That's a goal for me this year, and I don't want to be in a disappointing part where I'm not going to gain this year. I'm going to take it off because it is what I want to do. It is a desire, it is a goal, it is a need that I need to do. And yes, I used to blame the medicine all the time, and that was one of the reasons I didn't want to take it. But now I know I have to take the medicine. So we work at combating the side effects. We work at putting everything in a wellness perspective. Yes, medication is the tool for that, but we have to counteract it with doing things to make sure we're not overeating or we're being physically active and keeping out of the kitchen when it's nighttime, things like that, things to keep me out of that wanting to eat all the time because I deserve to be well, and if I want it, I can go for it. And through this week, I've seen a bunch of signs that it's reality. It's what I have to do. So that's my plan for this week, and I'm keep on going. And somebody told me I looked good today, and that's always a good sign because when I look good, I know I'm doing well. So, if you leave with a good note, I'm going to have a good weekend this weekend. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to this video. If you want to see anything here on here, if you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, or whatever on Instagram, Facebook, X, and Pinterest. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. And lastly, I have a link tree with all my podcasting platforms, all my socials, my website, my email sign up. That address under Linktree is Dustin's Dynasty. Again, I want to thank you for listening and taking a few minutes out of your time today. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Have a good weekend. I'm going to try to do the same. And remember, you are loved, you matter, you are enough. Take care and stay safe, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.